10, 219, 219.
Forward Progress, a Chicago Bears podcast with Dan Bernstein and Matt Abaticola on 312 Sports.
Stop doing this to me. Stop doing this to us. We don't need this kind of aggravation in our lives. The Bears are 7-3. Now with a 66% chance of making the playoffs pending some other outcomes. We mentioned throughout the week on Forward Progress that this was a 31% swing in playoff possibilities. That kick that squeaked its way inside the left upright is the difference between 7-3 and 6-4, and the difference, a 31 percentage point difference in playoff chances. This is Forward Progress Bears postgame. We're brought to you by Beer Church Brewing, New Buffalo's brewery pizzeria in a historic church, wood-fired Neapolitan pizza, small batch craft beer, brunch every day. Visit beerchurchbrewing.com. That's Matt Abaticola. I'm Dan Bernstein.
So this will be the Devin Duvernay game.
Well, my buddy in my group chat called it. He just right before the kick, he said, "This is when Devin Duvernay has a return that matters."
Well,
I just texted. I know he was. I just texted back, "I hate you." Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
in a game that it looked like neither team wanted to win, J.J. McCarthy was terrible.
How'd you lose to this guy in week one?
I have no idea. And
how did they lose to this guy? How did they let this guy single-handedly beat them in week one?
All the drop passes, it was just, man, this should not have been a 2-point game. It should not have been a 2-point game. And the Bears, I think, had opportunities in the lower half of the red zone that they settled for field goals instead of touchdowns. This should not have happened this way. I'm glad that the Bears were able to get the win. You got the important kick return for the first time all year from Duvernay, and then Santos squeaks one in from 48 to get you the 2-point win that should not have gone down this way. But I'm glad they did, and they're 7-3.
And at the end of the year, there's going to be a new special teams coach for the Bears. They're not going to do it in season, but to allow that punt return that changed everything,
yes,
that Miles Price 42-yard punt return, that absolutely cannot happen after those 2 sacks. Dallas Turner, your guy, the Viking, Van Ginkel, gets the huge sack on 3rd and 10. And the moment he returned at 42 yards, we all got that horrible sinking feeling. But man, oh man, they get out of there before they change the scoreboard on you. I've said that in the past, but that one felt like it was just slipping and slipping and slipping. But my goodness. Whew. However they do it, they did it.
The first quarter of the game, it felt like that the Vikings fans were experiencing what we experience as Bears fans, where you control the ball, you dominate the clock, you have more yards, and that you're just up by enough where they can come back and score a touchdown and take the lead, which the Bears did. And to have it happen the other way around, for once it finally felt nice. Although it was weird, Dan, because I never truly felt super confident, despite how bad J.J. McCarthy was playing, all the drops the Vikings had, the fact that they were able to run the ball, and Monangai and Swift still continue to run. They run the ball really hard, and it's so different from how the season started. With all of that happening and the 2 interceptions, I still never felt very confident. I was like, all right, it's going to be a really ugly win, but at least they're going to win. And then they have that last drive, and I was like, there's no way that they take a 1-point lead, right? They're not going to take a 1-point lead. It's not going to happen.
In
the
this
Bears
NFL,
are not going to give up an 85-yard drive to give up a 1-point lead. It's not going to happen, right?
Boy,
and then it happened, and I was like, but still, now the last 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, you got a minute to go, Caleb. Go do your thing. But then Duvernay with the huge return.
I just thought they left too much time. I thought that if they would have been smarter to grind that thing down and just kind of suffocate the Bears at the end, I thought that this was going to be another Caleb Williams finish to this game, and instead it's the Devin Duvernay game. Let me also give a game ball to both tight ends. I thought that both Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland in the pass game, in the run game, Kmet was a beast on some of those underneath check down sideline catches, mauling people for extra yards, and the tight ends did a really good job blocking for Swift late. Loveland somehow has a cloaking device where guys just end up missing him when they try to tackle him. Anytime two guys try to tackle him, they both miss. And this was a game for Kmet where with 5 targets, 5 catches, 45 yards. Loveland caught 3 of his 4 targets. They combined for 85 yards. And I just thought this was a workmanlike game that might be remembered as the day that Ben Johnson finally needed both tight ends in his game plan.
Yeah, no, they both played excellent. I was really surprised how I'm learning about Colston Loveland and how tough he is. Man, he's a beast. And it's nice to start to see that the last couple of weeks that's how it's coming down. And on that one play that he had 2 defenders miss him, Harrison Barnes comes in for the youth football. I'm going to throw my shoulder at you and try to knock you over. It's like, this is NFL, man. This
Harrison
is an NFL
Smith.
Tight end. Harrison Smith. Yeah.
Harrison Barnes would be the veteran wing NBAer.
Yes, correct. Harrison Smith. But it was really surprising the lack of technique on his tackle and just kind of threw his shoulder at him. It's like, have you not watched any film on this guy? You're not bringing him down like that. You need to wrap him up and bring him down to the ground. But I'm glad they did it, and he's just a beast. He's a beast, and he's been really fun to watch. But a good call out by you on both tight ends. Really, really good game for both today.
Kudos to Montez Sweat as well on that 3rd and 4, batting the ball up in the air that could easily have been picked right before the 2-minute warning, despite the fact that they converted on that 4th and 4. That was Sweat not getting home, but mattering with that pass breakup at a critical time. The injury to Tyreek Stevenson also had me very concerned. As soon as they said questionable to return, and then in comes Nick McLeod, that was my worry late, that would be an opportunity then for J.J. McCarthy's get right. And what's the deal with his war paint? Why does he have the Bryce Harper stuff on his face? You're indoors. You don't need eye black. I don't know what that is.
It's a look now. It's not. It doesn't serve a purpose.
Okay.
It's just a look. Yeah.
All right. I was just concerned. If you are a follower of DBU picks from the MyBookie that we do on Fridays, I had the Bears +3. Didn't need that. I had Swift over the 58.5 rushing yards. Both of those came in. I didn't think that Swift was going to find that second half gear that he did, man. But when they started on their own 35 and he just started pounding away a 9-yard run, 11-yard run, 8-yard run, and it built them up to a no gain after they brought in Bagent for a second time on that wide receiver play. And I get doing that once. I get Ben Johnson saying to his counterpart, hey, you remember this play, remember this formation, remember what we did last time, and then using it as a decoy for Monungai. But to do it again, that's pushing the definition of strategy a little bit too close to too cute for me.
Well, yeah, obviously it was a decoy, and they hand off to Monungai, and he didn't really get any yards at all, if anything, unless he was tackled in the backfield, if I remember. But is he trying to outsmart himself too by saying, hey, we're going to put Bagent out there, we're going to run this again, but then thinking, all right, you're going to think that I'm not going to do the same play, so I'm not going to do the same play, I'm going to do the run play, and I just don't know what purpose it serves to run it so close together. But whatever, it didn't hurt the game. Again, there's some issues with some behind the line of scrimmage screen passes I just don't like. One thing I noticed too that was happening a lot in this game, on the weak side of the offensive line, they would bring a defensive back up to the line and would just blow up the backfield. And it happened a couple different times on run plays. One guy got into Caleb's face. He was able to freeze him, I think in midair, and even throw the ball off to the left flats. But a couple times they would walk a guy up to the line on the weak side of the offensive line and just blow up. And the job was just sprint in the backfield. Sprint in the backfield, see what happens, react and read. And a couple times they were able to stop them in the backfield on carries, which I just didn't like. No adjustment to that at all.
Well, I was hoping to see more in the screen game. I really was, because I thought they were setting it up. They hit on the big one to Luther Burden, the 16-yard screen that they got in the where did I have this? I had that in the fourth quarter when Burden had the big drop, and then I was a little worried that that drop was gonna scare him off, but indeed he did take a lot of Olamide Zaccheaus's snaps, and I just thought that was there over and over and over again because it seemed to me like Flores was also blitzing some of those gaps in a way that was protecting them against some of the runs too, that they just had guys stopping the run on their way to the quarterback very effectively.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, Dan. I'm just trying to look at. I'm not getting comments coming through, and I
Okay.
see them coming through. I just don't have them coming through. So sorry, didn't mean to pause on you there.
No, that's all right. Let me look at some of the final numbers here because I really haven't had a chance to look at all of this. But Caleb Williams finished a pedestrian at best 16 of 32 for 193 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. DeAndre Swift led the way with 90 yards on 21 rushes with a long of just 11. Williams scrambled for 26 yards with a long of 16. Kyle Monungai contributed on 12 carries for just 23 yards, but he had that one touchdown. Mentioned that Kmet was the leading receiver with 5 catches for 45 yards. Roma Dunze only caught 2 of his 6 targets for 41. Colston Loveland, 3 catches for 40. Burden, 3 catches for 27. Not a great game for DJ Moore, who had a terrible drop and then nearly dropped another that he caught with his feet.
And his knees, yeah.
Yeah, that was the only catch he had. That was his only catch. That was his only catch.
Huh. Okay. Wow.
I don't know what's up, but that drop was brutal.
Yeah, and then penalties for the Bears, 6 for 40. The Vikings played a pretty clean game, 2 for 15. And then, really one of those penalties was the delay of game that they did on purpose. So we'll make that 5 for 35 for the Bears.
That's fine.
In the game. Yeah.
That's fine. I'm not mad about that.
What'd you say? 5 or 6 is the number
Yeah.
to keep it under?
I don't have a problem with that, but 2 of the illegal formation penalties, that's just concentration and awareness. He's not designing plays that are illegally formed. You just got to know where your feet are. Joe Thuney is a beast, man. He is just a monster.
Yeah, there was a play there on the it was a second down Bears play that on that final drive that Swift got blown up in the backfield. And Tom Brady incorrectly pointed out how the fact when you start pulling guards and you start leaving all these open gaps, it wasn't that at all. It was just Theo Benedict got manhandled. He got tossed to the ground like a child.
Yep.
So it had nothing to do with the formation that was called, nothing to do with the scheme that was called in that play. Just Theo Benedict got beat. He got beat badly and allowed that guy to get in the backfield pretty easily.
And he doesn't have to pancake him on that play. When you are pulling people around on that trap action, you just have to delay him enough that the running back can outrun him. And sometimes the quarterback will move that handoff point a little bit away from that open backside. But I didn't see that being an issue at all. You just have to slow down that defender somehow. Make him turn his hips, hit him something, throw something at him, and not allow him to chase it down. But this was it could have been kind of an inspiring win. It really could have been had they turned the screws defensively a bit more. But regardless of how they did it, and regardless of the quality of quarterbacking they were facing in this one, because McCarthy did have his hand wrapped before the game. I'm not sure if he kept that wrap on there the entire time, but when he was missing short, he was missing high, he was missing long, he was missing by throwing it too hard. There was every kind of bad throw that he was making, even when he did identify the right receiver. And I thought the Bears eventually might have gotten burned by allowing the number of 3rd and shorts that they did, but the number of drop passes and complete misfires by McCarthy kept them in it. To allow that punt return and then to miss the field goal, it was the best thing that happened to them to get the Devin Duvernay kickoff return to keep the heat off of yet another underwhelming overall special teams performance. Fix that.
Yeah, I know this is might be a tough question to answer, but what I can recall of the now 10 games, that was the first return that was set up to go across the entire width of the field. I don't ever recall one where it's caught on the left and the return is designed to go right, or right and designed to go left. It seems like he's always catching it and just going straight. And this one was deliberately schemed to go from the left side to the right side, which opened up. He didn't stutter step at all. He didn't have to break stride. He was able to just bolt right, and it was blocked perfectly. Probably with the way it was kicked, I don't recall seeing them try to return a kickoff like that yet this season.
Well, I would have to ask, because a lot of these returns may be first priority blocked a certain way, and you just don't get it. That's closed off, especially as the rules are changing every year, and a lot of what you have designed, you don't know until you have a reasonable sample of the way these plays are defended and run. I know that Duvernay has not been a threat at all. He's just looked heavy-legged. I was going back to like Dick Duran's guy, Leon Johnson, to go back to a time when a Bears kickoff returner had that apparent lack of explosiveness. But it's all good now, and I don't know how many times we can talk about these victories where we say there's just so many coaching points. There's still so many things that they can talk about and know that on a day like this, they didn't play well enough to beat a good team. This is a 7-3 team that still is still ahead of where we expected them to be, perhaps at this point in the season. They are looking at what is now we can say it, a likely playoff spot, but they've got a ton of work to do. They have a ton of work to do to understand how to put teams away, to know when they're in advantageous situations. And it just seems like that maybe it's the nature of the NFL that does this, but it's maddening to watch in a game where I thought that we'd be coming here and kind of shrugging our shoulders and saying, all right, that's how it looked. That they beat a team that was trying to beat itself, and they let them do it. But it came down to the right foot of that kid from 48 yards out.
Yeah, and I get it, and I think all your points are valid and accurate. But we can't have it both ways and then talk about, well, they've played 10 games, they've won 7, and they've pretty much beat bad teams. Well, that's fine. That's the way it is. That's the way the schedule goes. The Bears
I'm not complaining.
Very easily lose those games. Oh, I know you're not. But I see some comments. People are making the same comment that you are, but more leaning in the direction that the Bears have not beaten a good team yet this year. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're 7-3. They've played 10 games. They've had every opportunity to lose those 7 games as well too, and they've won those. And those last 3 weeks all come from behind victories. That's something to me says more about a team than executing from start to finish the entire 4 quarters. Now, I would love to see that. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see this team click on all cylinders in all 3 phases of the game. Hopefully that will happen this season. But they're winning games that maybe they shouldn't win, which is something that we've never seen before with this organization.
They have the top 3 interceptors in the NFL right now in Kevin Byard, Tremaine Edmonds, and Nashawn Wright. I believe that Edmonds and Wright each have 4. Byard's got 5.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I'm not sure where they rank, but your numbers are right. Yeah,
you better make the playoffs in a year where you're picking off that many passes. And that one by Wright in the corner of the end zone, that's a special play. That is just a fantastic individual effort. That is not a tipped ball. That's not one of those center field overthrow catches. That isn't where you're gambling on something and stepping into it. That was using his length and using the timing of that jump, the fingertip catch, a spectacular interception by Nashawn Wright. Really good stuff.
It was so good, and he goes up at the highest point to get it. And if you remember seeing the play, and if you can remember it in your brain, he's stretched out backwards.
Yep.
Like it was a really spectacular play. It got me off the couch in front of the TV to hoot and holler about it, but. And he's been a really interesting character this year because he's been so frustrating at times, yet so exceptional at other times. And I know we've talked about him a lot during these post-game shows, and this was a really, really great opportunity here for him to make a great play, and he did it. And you're not going to see that play made a whole lot by defensive backs. One question I wanted to ask, if you have it in front of you, is the number of snaps, because we talked at halftime about Zacchaeus and the number of snaps that he was in. And I'm just curious to see how the snap count does play out, because this goes in line with what we've said about Ben Johnson. that we finally have a head coach that is seeing the same things that we're seeing as Bears fans. And I go back to what he said this week when asked about all the drops. Like, what do you do? How do you correct it? And you remember his answer on Wednesday or Thursday? He was just like, hey, guys want to catch the ball. You know, that's all they want to do. They want to catch it. There's nothing we can really do. We're just going to talk about it. We're going to address it. We're going to turn the page. We're going to move forward. He wasn't being very truthful. You know, he wasn't being, and what it shows that, he sees the same things we're seeing. Where all the fans that we talked to this week, all were clamoring, Zaccheaus shouldn't be out there. Get Zaccheaus out. Burden should get more snaps. Burden get more snaps. And the head coach talks about it, and he just says, hey, the guys want to catch the ball. We'll address it. We'll move on. That's all we're going to do. He sees the same things we're seeing, and it's really nice to have that confirmation once again.
Olamide Zaccheaus, all I had is 3 snaps in the first half. I don't have full yet, but he was not thrown to. I mean, that's really what you need to know. When Durham Smythe is targeted 3 times, Luther Burden is targeted 5. Yeah, I think Oz is El Bencho. I think is the old ask the old El Bencho what's going on there. That is, I think that the response from Ben Johnson was not going to work here anymore.
Yeah, I remember seeing him on 1 snap in the second half, but outside of that, I don't really recall him being out there at all. So it'd be interesting to see if it was only 4 or 5 or 6.
Something else I had circled that maybe was notable when Theo Benedict left briefly in the first quarter.
Yep.
You see who came in?
Oh, who did?
Ozzie Trapillo.
Okay.
Ozzie Trapillo came in for Benedict for that 1 snap before Benedict was back on. And that tells us something, because before Trapillo had been used as the extra offensive lineman or the tight end in heavy packages. We had seen him used, they always said right tackle, but for him to be first man up at left, I just made sure I circled that one because maybe it means that Braxton Jones is down a notch in the depth chart.
Yeah, it was funny. I was going to rewind it to go back to see who was in there, and I honestly said, well, Dan will have it in his beautiful mind notes, so we'll be able to go back and cover it without rewinding and looking.
There they are. Yes, they work. I don't know that I can necessarily make hide nor hair of it, given enough time removed from it, but
I want to just take a quick look here.
Yep.
At some of the scores. Panthers, Falcons in overtime right now at 27 each. Late games, Rams are up early on the Seahawks 7-0, 49ers 13-0 on the Cardinals. Ravens and Browns no score, Chiefs, Broncos no score. Lions and Eagles are later tonight. Earlier, the Dolphins get their 4th win of the season, and they beat the Commanders in Madrid.
What was that horrible
the Bills
to wake
and
up
the Buccaneers
to?
With a big defensive game, 44-32, win for the Bills. Texans 16-13 over the Titans. The Packers outlast the Giants and win 27-20. Steelers over the Bengals. Combined ages of the quarterbacks in that game, 81 years old. 34-12 was the final there, and the Jaguars really just dominate the Chargers, 35-6.
One thing interesting to note in that Packers game, at various points in the game, I know that Jordan Love had left the game with an injury, and then later on Josh Jacobs left. So that is obviously something to keep in mind. And remember, speaking of injuries, that while Jaquan Brisker did come back and play, I still think they really are missing TJ Edwards. It's notable in the run game where, and perhaps in some of the short zone passing as well, the sooner they get him back, the better. And not having to deal with Jonathan Grenard was a lucky break.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, let's highlight too Caleb Williams and his ability to evade the sack in the pot. I mean, I think they had a couple and 2 plays in a row they got sacks, but there was one where he was folded in half, and I don't know how he came out of that pocket without going down. He's something special. What we've seen the last few weeks from that kid.
And I know that we've talked about scramble rules before. I'm wondering sometimes, are there any offensive players that are giving up? Are there any offensive players that see the same thing? They see him bent at 90 degrees and aren't moving to open space because they don't even have it in the back of their head that there's going to be an opportunity there. If there ever is a reason as a coaching point to keep telling all these guys down the field, never, ever, ever, ever give up on a play with this guy. Always be moving.
Yeah, I think if they haven't learned that yet, I think this is the final example, final game video that they need to watch to say that this play is not over until he's on the ground or the ball's caught or on the ground, whatever it might be.
I'm not sure what the overall takeaways are in this game, but I know I said it before that when they running the ball effectively, when they need it to, when they need to pound it down the field, knowing that it's coming. It culminated in the 45-yard miss wide left by Santos. But those runs by Swift, in large part over Joe Thuney, that tells me that Ben Johnson he tipped his little sort of security blanket hand there, that he's not going to get too fancy, and that they used a bunch of I formation in this game too. Mm-hmm. That they were playing some downhill power stuff, and they were lining it up and using the tight end as an H-back, sometimes offset, sometimes straight up I, but they are right over that left side when they needed those big yards. Just pay it off, make that stuff matter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back and taking a second look at this game because I really want to analyze what the Bears did when they're in the bottom half of the red zone and they settle for field goals. I want to know if it's a matter of a lack of execution or if Ben Johnson's going to talk about wanting some of those plays back. Because I think my initial viewing, looking at my notes, is going to be some play calling, some opportunities there that he kind of missed on some opportunities to get the ball in the end zone. Again, this game shouldn't have been a 2-point game, but I'm thrilled that the Bears won. I can't believe they got the ball back with 54 seconds, and then you get Duvernay with the return. That if you were to ask me what's the most likely to happen, Duvernay to have 60-yard return when you need it, or Santos to kick a 70-yard field goal, I would have said, I'll probably go with Santos in this one. Maybe there's something going to happen special. But for that to happen it was great to see, and it was such a relief to not have to come and do this show and have this conversation with you with a 17-16 loss. I would have not been able to handle that.
My favorite part of the aftermath of the Duvernay return was the cutaway to Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, yes.
And it was so obvious that he said, I don't know what he said exactly before, whether it was, are you fucking kidding me or you gotta be fucking kidding me. It was one or the two, because the last three words were clear as a bell. Yep. And
100%.
That's what happens. And man, no, we're not kidding you is the answer. And I don't think Devin Duvernay was kidding you either to set that thing up. And
I will say this too about J.J. McCarthy. As bad as he was really bad. I mean, I think at one point, I think when I texted you, he had like 74 yards. Because remember, my bookie plays, I had J.J. under 215, and then I had Caleb over 1.5. So I missed on the touchdowns, but nailed on the J.J. McCarthy. So he looked terrible, and like you pointed out earlier, every way that you could possibly make a bad pass, he did, whether it was too hard or it was too high or just completely off the mark. When he needed to make passes, though, he came through on that final drive, and he was putting the ball where it needed to be, and he looked like a different quarterback, like they traded someone's body out for him, and he was able to make the plays when it was needed. Luckily, the Bears were able to overcome it with that big kick return from Duvernay.
Some of the drops were just shocking. I don't think I've ever seen TJ Hawkinson drop one of those little dump offs that's just right in his hand. And the one by Jordan Addison that also hit him in the breadbasket and just fell. At least on the DJ Moore drop, the drop that he didn't catch, it looked like that drop was he had it and he was transferring it, and he just wasn't quite secure in transferring it and tucking it away before he ran. That he had the catch, he just couldn't finish it because it was on the transfer.
I'll have to look at it again, because I thought it went through his hands and went off his chest, which is what made it a little harder. He didn't.
I thought he kind of caught it, and it was, but
Okay.
he didn't make enough of a move to be established as a ball carrier at that point. But it kind of, to me, looked like the play at second base turning a double play. It was just kind of the in between. But it's in the NFL, obviously, a drop is a drop. But man, to have a game like this where he can matter that little. If you come away knowing that DJ Moore had 1 catch, Roma Dunze had 2, and they were still that's where the tight ends picked everybody up.
Yeah, and don't look now, but with the Lions playing later, the Bears are actually technically on top of the NFC North with 7 wins. So,
well, if the Lions win, they would continue to own the tiebreaker
correct,
and would
yeah.
technically be in first place at that point.
But as it is right now, there's no other team in the NFC North with 7 wins. So, we'll take it.
And the next game coming up is that Steelers?
That is Steelers Sunday at noon, and then they have the Friday Black Friday game
Against the Eagles.
against the Eagles. Correct.
Okay.
I wanted to look real quick at Justin Jefferson. So 9 targets, 5 receptions, 61 yards, and they showed him a few different times on the sideline. Not very happy. I'm really curious to know what is going on fully, because we talked about him on Friday with Paul Charchian, and we talked about it after the interview ended as well, that he talked about being distracted. There's things going on in life. I'm curious if those outside things are really impacting it, or if it's really the lack of connection that he's had with J.J. McCarthy this year, if that's really getting to him as a superstar wide receiver in this league.
I don't know. I know the 3rd and 2 on their drive near the end of the third quarter where McCarthy threw it high, but it was right through his hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that's a play you got to make, or you got to shut up. You can say everything you want about what your quarterback is doing and the struggles that he's going through, or you can not say it and be diplomatic enough, but then leak it or have everybody know exactly how you feel. But that's a catch you have to make. Maybe a replacement level wide receiver isn't expected to do that, but Justin Jefferson has to. And then his blocking later on, on the downfield blocking, and he was proud of himself, and he was making sure to call attention to his blocking on that play. Just do your job, man. Do your job. People will see you. People are going to give you credit. Don't worry. You don't have to literally pound your chest when you're blocking downfield. So it does seem like he's a little in between.
Yeah, I'm really curious to know what's going on, because even though he's on a division opponent, I love watching him play. He's a spectacular wide receiver, but he is just not right. And I don't know if really the things going on in life outside of football, or if it really is this lack of connection that he has with J.J. McCarthy right now. But I'll take it. I'll take the win. And the Vikings wanted to look bad at home, and McCarthy looked about as bad as you could look until that final drive for the Vikings. We'll take the win and go 7-3. I'm all for it.
The stadium is gorgeous too.
It is. It's really cool. It's really cool how they designed it.
It's beautiful. And if that's what Kevin Warren has in mind in Arlington Heights, fine. I know you're not going to have the view of the downtown, but if it's going to be something that feels that sort of open, that has this whole, it's almost like you're in an atrium of some kind, or like a massive greenhouse. It really is. That's about all you need for an indoor stadium that makes you feel like you're still somewhere. You don't feel like you're anywhere.
Yeah, it's a beautiful design, and if the Bears can do something similar, that would be amazing. And we should have shovels in the ground soon, and that should be done for 2028, right?
Well, anybody can walk out there and do the ceremonial shovel in the ground. I mean,
you and I should do that.
Yeah,
we should do it live one day.
Go do that.
During DBU, we'll walk out there with shovels and just start putting shovels in the ground.
Just stand there and have shovels in the ground. Hell, we can even leave the shovels in the ground if you want, and we can.
I think we would have to after we'd get arrested.
We could set up shovel cam. Now, shovel cam will always have an update on how the shovels are doing, and they'll be there, just kind of representing. So the Bears at this point, 7-3 at the moment, atop the NFC North. They haven't taken it so as to never give it back yet, but it makes me crazy that they let this Jamoke come back and beat them in the opener. This same guy, with all this time now under his belt, he'd never played an NFL game before. And you were up and you let him storm back and pull that victory out of your hands and make us all miserable for a week? This guy?
Well, not only that, Dan, I mean, they let him do it again today. And were it not for a special teams play, where we haven't had many positive ones to talk about this year, this might be a different scenario in looking at two come from behind victories for J.J. McCarthy against the Bears, and thankfully we're not.
No.
Your guy, Devin Duvernay.
Hey, he was bound to do something at some point, and I guess
has Blackwell returned kicks before this season? Because he had one earlier today. I don't remember him doing it before. Has he done? Okay.
I believe.
I wasn't sure if that was a strategic move or.
He's been the other side guy.
He has. Okay.
I believe before he has been that, but he had a dumbass play too. What are you going to do
on the punt?
Getting that close to a guy for fair catch interference? What is your plan? What are you preparing to do? And he's smart. He stayed in this league, Blackwell has, by being a guy who doesn't make mistakes. So don't be a mistake guy. You can't be. He's not the greatest athlete in the world. He's the new Sherrick McManus. There's a new Sherrick in town, and his name is Josh Blackwell. So just don't be stupid. This team can't afford to be stupid. There's such a fine line between this team being in 7-3 and God knows what else, because of the number of times we're sitting here saying these same things. And now this week, you pay close attention to forward progress this week as we chart all things Chicago Bears, because now the balance is even stranger and we'll play it again, because I guarantee you right now, Ben Johnson is in the locker room screaming good, better, best, and they're high-fiving and they're all happy and they're jumping up and down and touching each other. And yet he's got a lot of work to do. So he has to reinforce the good. He has to talk about, and it's our job too. And believe me, I don't want to take the fun out of that win. But with this high bar, and with the fact that every season matters, you're 7-3. You're ahead of the game right now. The Bears are 7-3.
Yeah, that's
after
insane.
10 games. And they're taking advantage of some of these lucky breaks that they've gotten. It's okay to say that. The quarterbacks they've faced, the injuries, and all of that. They've gotten some breaks. And you make your own breaks sometimes. But there's a lot of coaching left to be done, while also celebrating where they are, appreciating where they are, and being tantalized by what can still be. It's okay to do that. It's okay to say, look, you've graduated from the in the hunt graphic, and now you're a real ass playoff team at the moment, and now you can play like it, and you can have that. But there isn't a lot that separates them from being something way worse.
Well, yeah, no, there isn't a lot that separates them from being the Vikings, who are 4-6, or a team that is 3-7. It's a pretty fine line for it right now. But the good part is that they are doing a lot of good things. Yeah, and there's a lot to clean up, but they are doing a lot of good things. And imagine if in one of those drives where you're in the lower half of the red zone, instead of a field goal, you punch one of those in for a touchdown.
Did you punch them all in?
Yeah, I know.
Not just one of them, all of them.
But I know, but even one. So, like, a play or two here could make a difference where this isn't a 2-point game. We're not, hoping for a prayer and a miracle from Duvernay to get a nice return finally, that they win this game comfortably. And all it is a couple plays. As bad as it has been at times, they're still doing enough good things with Ben Johnson calling the plays, with knowing what they need to do on defense to keep, opponents lower in points than they are. They're doing enough good things that's why they are positive at 7-3 right now after 10 games.
Rushing for 140 yards is what won them this game in large part. 320 total yards. It's not great, but for the Bears, for the Bears history in a slog like this, you got to score more points than 19. Usually you want to be up around 23 on average, but the fact that on a day like this, where everything it seemed to be like pulling teeth, that they could still manage to control the ball as long as they did was great. It's not his preferred way of winning. And Ben Johnson is not like a time of possession lord. He's a score quick, score often, who cares how much time it takes kind of coach. But there are some days, this was one of these old time football, Eddie Shore, old time hockey. This was one of those where you knew it probably settled into something that wasn't going to be pretty, and they were able to play that game. And I keep getting back to Joe Thuney and what he means and what an acquisition that was and what it has meant. We didn't hear Drew Dahlman's name. We didn't hear Jonah Jackson's name. The guard center guard today, there were some big uglies up front doing the work when they needed to do it, and it was the names we didn't hear, I think, outside of those tight ends that were really important.
Yeah, I really want Caleb to do something that you mentioned a couple weeks ago about the play action. That his fakes need to be better. Getting that ball out there, and they need to get better at showing that I'm going to hand the ball off and then pull it back. And the one play where he got it pretty close, it was that fumble play on Swift, where he bounced it off his rib cage. Luckily, Rome was able to recover that. That
was a great play. I'm glad you mentioned that. Did you see from where he came?
Oh yeah. Oh no, it was great.
That's a huge play by Rome Odunze.
Yeah, absolutely it is. But yeah, he does need to get better at those fakes, like you've talked about before. And then when Monangai is in the game and getting the ball, I want him just getting the ball running downhill. I don't want any deviation. I want him. Hey, we're going left or we're going right. I want it real simple with Monangai. And it seems like anytime they try to do a counter play with Monangai, it doesn't work as effectively as it does with Swift. I want him getting the ball and just running and find the other colored jerseys and run through them. That's all I want him to do.
Then it's going to be blocked up more gap scheme than it is going to be the zone stuff at which Swift is better. I think with Monangai, you're talking about some of the I formation stuff where instead of that being window dressing, you're slamming it up in there, and that H-back is targeting a specific linebacker in the hole and just trying to blow him out, and you're running right off that lead block. I've got no problem with that either. I don't, and I'm not sure what we saw against Cincinnati is really going to tell us what Monangai is, but it's I hate to do this to him, but coaches love guys where they don't have to worry about ball security. Mm-hmm. And his whole career, everywhere he's been, he's hung out of the ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think that gets you snaps. And as long as you can hang on to the ball and you're not a liability in pass protection, or you're an asset in pass protection, you're going to see that time. I don't know why they had to squeeze Travis Homer out there for one play. What was that? And that face mask, how in God's name? I'll give referees all over the field all kinds of latitude with as fast as these guys are moving, as big as they are, but that one, dude.
And there was another sack that Caleb took, 2 or 3 guys on him, and he got hit in the head again. He took a shoulder pad and a helmet to the head, and nothing's called. And then on the one play where he scrambles to the right, and it is Dallas Turner that hits him. Remember, he throws it down the sideline, and he's not really throwing to anybody, but he drew the play out as long as he could. And then Dallas Turner took about a step and a half, or maybe just a full step, and knocked him to the ground. And it was completely late. I mean, he wasn't even moving. He just shoved him. Like, I don't understand how that's not called either. I don't understand it. With all these protections for quarterbacks and other games that I watch, how does Caleb Williams not get the same benefit of being a quarterback in this league who gets protected by the referees?
There is a note here that should be news to you, the Bears fan. When Aaron Rodgers left the game and Mason Rudolph was in guiding their second half scoring drives, he is being evaluated still for an injury to his left hand. So Aaron Rodgers left with an injury to his non-throwing hand. and they're saying he was hit illegally. They were roughing the passer penalties against the Bengals. The Steelers initially listed Rodgers as questionable, but he did not return to the sideline for the second half. So certainly keep an eye on that, as we will the injury to Tyreek Stevenson, who left with what Aaron Andrews mentioned was a calf injury, I believe, and I don't think he returned to the game. So with Jalen Johnson's 21-day practice window opened and his status at the moment uncertain, though he was seen doing a little bit before the game, getting loose and smiling a little bit, which is always good to see, that they could be thin once again at corner, and then trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I think when they initially said the Stevenson injury, I thought on the screen I read calf and hip, calf/hip.
Okay.
And when they showed him on the sideline again, hobbling, I think he went in for a play and then came back out. It looked like the way he was walking, it would have been like a hip thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that and see what that is. And again, that's another friendly fire injury, bear on bear injury where Brisker hit Stevenson going for that ball like we had earlier in the year when Sewell got his concussion. That was from Ford, the biggest hit of that game. So yeah, Bears need to stop hitting each other. It would probably be a good way to start.
Yeah, because that was an easy pick too.
Yes, it was.
For either one.
Yep.
Either one of those guys would have had it, and then they end up slamming into each other. But the Bears are 7-3, and at the moment, with the Lions at 6-3, as it stands, you want to take a picture of it. The Bears are atop the NFC North in Ben Johnson's first season. They have a lot of work to do, and we are going to have a lot to discuss throughout the week heading into this next one, because there are some stakes now. This stuff is mattering for them in a way that it hasn't in a long time. And Maddie and I on Forward Progress are going to keep you abreast of everything that is going on with your Chicago Bears as it happens. And, you can, I don't know that there's any particular notes that you want to highlight in some of what we are hearing from the commenters. I know it moves so damn fast that when I've been in your position, I've had a tough time keeping up with some of it. But we look forward to getting your feedback. Feel free to send in all your emails to Dan at 312sports.com, Matt at 312sports.com, and we will begin incorporating that into what is Bears coverage now with something at stake, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and looking at the Bears now at 7-3, 6 games to go on the year, like it would be very disappointing, very, very, very disappointing to not finish with double-digit wins. You have 6 games to go, and you're at 7 wins. I mean, you're looking at a season where, I mean, on the high end, oh my God, what the Bears get 11 wins? How insane would that be?
Well, let's also say this: the Packers are not what they were earlier. The Packers are going in
their defense is, their offense is not.
They're going in the wrong direction. And if you are a Bears fan that bases your evaluation of a season only in the games against which they face the Packers, this is going to be where they prove their mettle. And you feel free to be hopeful for some of those, because I don't see it in the Packers right now. I need to go back and watch today's game. Obviously, I wasn't seeing most of what was going on in today's game, just sort of watching that score out of the corner of my eye. But they've got a chance here. They got a chance here to make that larger statement divisionally. But I know Ben Johnson's aware of it. I know it. So, and then, exciting
so looking
times.
at that game, Jameis Winston, who started for Jackson Dart, was 19 of 29 for 201 yards. He had no touchdowns, 1 interception. Devin Singletary had 2 touchdowns on 44 yards. Tyrone Tracy Jr. at 88 yards. So they rushed for 132 yards. The running backs did. So the Packers are still, they're a top 5, at worst a top 10 defense. It's been their offense and the offensive line that's been an issue. But yeah, they get the win today, 27-20, but still an opportunity there for the Bears to make some and create some distance in the division, as they are now with their first divisional win for Ben Johnson as well on this season.
So that's going to do it for us. The Bears win it 19-17. They have won 7 of their first 10, and they keep doing it in heart-stopping fashion. our desires be damned. We thank Beer Church Brewing, and also want to remind you that all week we're going to be covering your Chicago Bears and everything else that's happening. Dan Bernstein Unfiltered will have all sports for you and beyond. We aim to drop those Monday through Friday around 11. Forward Progress drops Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock. We've got Organizations Win Championships covering the Bulls. That will drop Tuesday evening. They got the Bulls game tonight. Kobe White making his return, according to Billy Donovan and reports out of Utah. So we will be covering all of that as well. But it's all Bears all the time for the moment because they were able to hang on and outlast the Vikings. So like, subscribe, rate. Make sure on YouTube you're getting subscribed so you get all the alerts for when we're on. But that's going to do it for us. This has been Chicago Bears Postgame. Forward Progress, a Chicago Bears podcast on 312 Sports.